Hoş geldiniz değerli.
Welcome, dear guests. This panel is one of the last sessions of the Marmara municipalities. I hope you have still strength and patience to listen and discuss. Let's examine the context. Okay, cultural heritage and how to share this cultural heritage. I think that cultural heritage is very important. We have to keep this culture for the future, and you know that cultural heritage was very important, and we talked about conservation and preservation. But what we want now to stress is the accessibility and how we can share this. And at this point, we're going to talk about cultural heritage and this living heritage. The digital means have opened a new gate, and we are going to discuss about that. And we also have some discussions. What is important is the practical implementation. We have 4 panelists, 4 guests who are expert in practical implementation. Therefore, we're going to see how we can share this cultural marriage and how we can have people get access. And I hope that this will be an interesting discussion. We have 4 guests, 4 panelists. Almila Akhtar. We start with her. She is our first panelist, followed by Bülent Bey, the coordinator of Turkish Culture Portal, and then Nil Hanım, who is going to share her work, and our last panelist, Ertan Bey. Will give us information about what the Istanbul Development Agency does. So we're going to listen to the academic dimension and the practical dimension, and with very interesting panel members. Now I will first give the floor to Almila. She is works as an academician in the University of Delft and as a research agent in the Netherlands. She studied, she has a doctorate on history of art and digital humanities. So she is a new generation academician. And then after her doctorate, she continued working, and she worked in a studio as a researcher. Artificial intelligence. She works in the field of artificial intelligence and the behavior of artists and how to understand that and different methods to use. And she also got a reward from MWO. She is an academician, and she is doing working in research of infrastructure for art. Yes, you have the floor. Thank you. I will start speaking.
Thank you, Yunus, for the great introduction and for this really interesting session to get everyone together here. And I would also like to thank the organizers it's been probably an immense work to have so many people coordinated around this interesting topic. I will be talking about the cultural heritage of the future by starting giving examples of what we are doing actually today, what's being done to digitize cultural heritage, to maintain, to preserve, and to really make it much more accessible to everyone. So without further ado, let me start with this interesting project. I do come from an art historian background, but I also work with computer scientists and especially in computer vision. And back in the day in 2007, when Ikeuchi and his lab presented their work on generating 3D models of great Buddhas with laser sensors, the algorithms that they have developed was really very, very groundbreaking for that time. And the idea was these great Buddhas are made out of wood and they really need to be, they're much more vulnerable in comparison to many other cultural artifacts. And they wanted to create not only the 3D models of these Buddhas, but also the whole experience in a virtual reality space. Today, we also move beyond the digitization effort, even though there's still a lot to digitize, and depending on the object in question or the architecture or the site that we need to digitize. Of course, different challenges are still with us. This is one of the challenges, and how Intel and researchers from Wuhan University got together to answer the challenge of how to preserve, how to use AI in preservation tasks as well.
它的情况会越来越危险，因为长城跨度很大，首先需要做长城的调查。
在勘测手段这方面呢，传统的手段可能就是要尺子拉、目测。地势险峻就意味着我们很难得到。
英特尔的目标是和武汉大学还有基金会共同合作，使用 AI 技术和深度学习技术。 保护建构长城。英特尔的无人机能够近距离的拍摄长城的情况，检测破损和3D 重建，我们大概需要上万张图片。有了无人机之后，我们的测量会比以前更加容易，我们可能只用3天的时间就能完成以前1个月的工作量。拿到这些素材之后，我们先对这些素材进行3维模型重建。 人工智能在这个任务上面使用一个数据驱动的模式来对这个破损进行检测。我们可以直接测量破损的长度、宽度，来计划需要的材料。
So maybe a short recap if our translators had trouble reading the small subtitles. The idea here is to generate, not only to generate a 3D model of a portion of Great Wall of China, but also to train AI algorithms to automatically detect portions of the wall where extra work is needed in order to preserve the structure. And using these methods, they are not only saving energy and time, but also a lot of manpower. I have already mentioned two maybe really most important things in digital cultural heritage, digitization efforts, as well as preservation efforts. But there is also, as I said, a lot, tons of artifacts that are already digitized, and we do have a lot of cultural heritage collections today. So accessing them and managing them is also another hurdle in itself. And also we have realized that putting all the efforts in digitizing is and opening up these collections for the wider audience as well as the researchers in itself is not enough to get people engaged with these vast collections. And this example is one of the examples I really like. This is an effort by Rijksmuseum. So they started a new platform to share their collections online. So they introduced RightStudio, which actually mimicked a social media platform called Pinterest, where people can generate their, a user account and then browse the museum's collection and curate the collection according to their own tastes. And they can just share that with friends, family, or whoever is in the same social media platform. To further the engagement, Rijksmuseum also introduced yearly competitions that's called RightStudio Awards. And here we see one of the winners of the award from 2017. The idea is here to invite designers, or actually everyone, to just engage with the collection with the idea, with the aim of generating, new everyday objects that uses something from the collection. And here we see the sleep masks that are generated by using the, this area cut out from the paintings from the Rijksmuseum's collection. As I said, these are actually the things that the main energy is spent, but also now we are at a stage where we can dream actually new openings. We have a lot of things already digitized. The past is, in a sense, in our hands. So what can we do more using AI technology? And the next Rembrandt is another interesting project that just takes us to the next step. What can we do with AI and cultural?
The first step was to study the works of Rembrandt in order to create an extensive database. We gathered the data from his collection of paintings from many different sources, including 3D scans and upscale images using a deep learning algorithm. Because a significant percentage of Rembrandt paintings were portraits, we analyzed the demography of the faces in these paintings, looking at factors like gender, age, and head direction. The data led us to the conclusion that the subject should be a portrait of a Caucasian male with facial hair between 30 and 40 years old, in dark clothing with a collar, wearing a hat, and facing to the right. From there, we started to extract features only with faces that were related to that specific profile.
And we had to create a whole painting from just data. And we used statistical analysis and various algorithms to extract the features that make Rembrandt Rembrandt.
We took parts of the face and we started to compare them. And then based on this, we're able to create a typical Rembrandt eye or nose or mouth or ear.
So if you want to see the next Rembrandt that is generated by AI, just Google and you will see the new generated painting as well. With all these examples, the questions that I want to bring today onto the table are actually thinking that we are at a stage where we are already really good in digitizing and managing cultural heritage, and then generating new ways of preserving and accessing these digitized collection. We also furthermore build really interesting AI support tools for artists and designers. But the question is, the question that is really interesting for me is, what is the digital cultural heritage of today that needs to be preserved for the next generations? And if we dare, maybe the next question is, what will be the cultural heritage of the future? Can we just start imagining that, or challenge ourselves to do that, to take the time to think about it? For me, one of the most important cultural artifacts of today is social media platforms. I have already mentioned an example where mimicking a social media platform brought the interest of the audience and an engagement of the citizens of Amsterdam, but also, globally as well. Here, this is a result of one of my research, which was where the main goal was generating new tools to analyze social media platforms that are dedicated to generating and sharing artworks. And what we see here is actually every point here is another painting in itself. And these are paintings that are collected from such social media platform called DeviantArt. And we just wanted to see what are the differences in generating digital styled artworks versus traditionally styled artworks. And on the left-hand side, you see that artists have a lot more freedom when they generate artworks in a digitized platform. They can just go and use a wider range of color and hues and saturation, whereas on the traditional side, we don't see that. So it is really interesting and challenging and also necessary to generate tools to understand what's going on social media platforms. But also the next challenge that I see here is how are we going to decide how to archive these platforms? I mean, these are really spaces that has become part of our everyday life, and we share our feelings, political views, everyday lives, almost everything in those platforms. So they are really a good reflection of globally how people are living and kind of emphasizing what is important for them. So how are we going to preserve that for the next generation? I think that's the next question for me to go into. Before just finishing my talk, I'd like to also take two more examples from two different artists where they are using AI technologies to bring citizens as well as the city together to generate new perspectives and new experiences. And I think these examples are also interesting in the sense of putting the question mark of such performance-related artworks that becoming more and more the norm, especially when we talk about artworks that are generated with AI. How are we going to preserve those experiences for the next generations again? So maybe you have seen this one. This is by Rikita, and this is a visualization that is generated by deep neural networks. And the data comes actually directly from the Marmara Sea and how it just moves. So it offers a new way of engaging with the city that was never possible before. This next example comes from Rafael Lozana Hammer. He's an artist who generates collaborative interactive art works that is very much also usually political. Here, the light beams that you see are the result of an artwork that he had generated in a borderland between three different cities, one in America, two of them in Mexico. And the idea is if the user or the audience just grabs one of the light beams and then two light beams crosses each other, the people at both sides of the platforms can start talking to each other. So this is a way of reminding citizens of different cities, actually different nations, that the border is a construct, and they can still reach each other over this vast borderland. So looking at such art examples especially just gives me the courage and the wish to question also what kind of platforms, digital platforms, can we create for the citizens, for the designers, for the artists, for the scientists get together to generate new ways of engagement, new ways of generating new artifacts for the next generation. And with this, I would like to give the floor for the next speaker. And these are the two people who are just talking to each other. So I thought this was really a nice capture of the wide audience Lorenzo Hammer had managed to bring together. I think this is from me. Thank you for watching. Let me stop sharing.
Teşekkürler. Teşekkürler hocam. Gerçekten
thank you. I think that maybe we may be able to discuss this question when we think that how we can adapt the cultural heritage, and we're going to ask the question. Yes, that was interesting. It was a good question. I hope we shall be able and time to discuss it. Now, the second panelist, Bülent Aydemir. He is the coordinator of the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. He is the coordinator of the Portal of Culture in the Ministry. After having graduated from the university, he devoted his life to culture and he has and tourism, and he has been working at the ministry for 15-20 years, and he is going to he gave us a portal, and we're going to listen to the story of this portal. Thank you for this beautiful organization. Really, it's very interesting. Turkey Culture Portal. I just want to start by the Turkish Culture Portal. It is based on the culture. That strategy was devised in 2006 and 2010, and started to be implemented under the leadership of the strategy and budget division. So it is art, culture, and tourism which are brought together. And our logo, when you look at the logo, you can see that there is a great wealth and variety, and the cultural heritage that is a logo, which is Turkey Culture Portal, and it is under protection. You can see Çanakkale, Samsun, Ankara, Adıyaman, Gaziantep. So you see also all the values of Turkey. We have a website. The Culture Portal has a website. I want to talk about this website. There is a unit where the main subjects are that, the contents. So we have also at the bottom the modules, the cultural heritage and touristic heritage in this department, and the general way, history, archaeology, and articles published in this field. And then we have the users and the systems which are now the users want to see what is there in which city, and they look at the map, and it is and there is also a digital library where they can get information. So this is how the website was established. And we have that like the cultural inventory, like the monuments, the sites, or the popular culture. When I say popular culture, you have the songs, the legends, and then we have the values. There is 16,430 different contexts. So when you come back from a trip, your souvenirs and we said like the so we also say that gifts and food. Like if you go somewhere, you buy something related to food, local food, and then you buy also some gifts that you want to keep as a souvenir. And then we have tourism activities with 19 titles and 1,223 different contents, places to be visited. You have 59 titles and 3,628 contents. So when people go and visit a city, what have they seen and what they can consider as a souvenir? Then you have the traditional cuisine, 2,280 contents. And we have also some activities. So when you collect, that is the field of the activities where the pictures are also collected, and so so these activities take place in that. Contents, and also where to get accommodation. Now, what do we do besides that? We prepare pages like you have like geographical and that we have pages of famous sites, and we prepare actual pages which are at the service of the people who use them. When it comes to social media and the contents, we prepare that. So that is, we produce our own social media content. We use our own stuff. It is prepared by our own staff. So how to develop our website, the optimization and reporting is done by our staff. No, it is not only a website, but also we wanted to provide services, and we have a coordination and cooperation with them, like the places to be visited and accommodation facilities. Social media, you know, it's very important. So we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, statistics. As the ministry, since 2005, we are developing a program connected to statistics, and this is also, previously we went to a city and we checked there was information. Of course, now with digitalization, development of technology, we prepared pages for each city, and we have the possibility of getting information, and we have it in Turkish, and also we have a portal in foreign language for the foreigner. So this is continuing, and we are working very actively on that. When we look at the figures of the sessions, we started with 400,000 visitors, and now in 2021 we have 8.6 million. Now these visitors visit 16 million pages in the first 9 months of this year. I think we shall reach 20 million visits by the end of the year. Traffic, the majority, 93% is organic. We have usually in a subject when you see where they make a research, and when they consult our page, and now directly it is 5%, and some which 2%, and social media. We do not really get much traffic from the social media, but what is important is the organic traffic. Now, daily visitors is arting. Now, last year it was 22,000 visits, and now it is around 32,000. And mobile use, 80%. It started by 40% in 2015, and now in 6 years we have reached almost 80%, and that's why that is really the advantage, the use of mobile systems. Now, we have publications in Turkish, the portal, but there is also automatic translation, and we have visitors from 195 countries. When we look at the visitors' nationality, we see that in 2019 male were dominating, but now the number of women visitors have increased now recently. When we look at the age groups, we can see that the users are usually students or researchers. Now, an academician in the US is consulting this, has found information on our page, and exchange of information, and we connect with those people. This is a page which is used really by researchers, and this was our goal. And you know, this golden spider, this golden spider is a competition with web prizes. We were 13th, third in the, and that there are projects which are examined in detail. That we were now in the portal news channel, we were number 3. while developing the context and having a new design, we are also getting information about how we are seen and approved by those who. I would like to thank you for having given me the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bülent, for explaining us the culture portal. And actually, we actually use a lot this culture program, and especially for learning about the cultural heritage. There are many high quality illustrations available in your cultural portal, and of course you know that due to the expertise and of course the tourism aspect is really so important, and we have really received a lot of we have also learned that there are many other perspectives, and there are some questions actually in my mind, but I will ask these questions afterwards. And also, if the audience have any questions, so please direct your questions through the send question button on your screen. And the third panelist of this session is Nil Tozcu, and she actually participates from US in early hours of the day, and I would like to thank to her for this for and also excuse for bothering in the early hour of the day. And she works in the data gene in the industry, and actually she has graduated from the Cornell University, and she works also studied in MIT on the, and she is a data management leader, and she will be sharing her designs from herself, and especially she will talk about data engineering, data design, and database storytelling. And so she develops projects. Actually, she also was rewarded from human. She was awarded with several awards, and she was also nominated for some various various awards as well. I would like to pass the microphone. So I would like to share my screen, and thank you very much for this opportunity. And first of all, I would like to thank to all of you. So it is really it's an honor and happiness for me to be here, and I was really so excited when I received the invitation for this forum. And actually I will talk about different and actually some different projects for the preservation of the urban heritage. And actually when we look at these three and we see that it is actually digital data visualization projects, and actually it is the first project I will be talking about is Istanbul Urban Database.com, and actually you can also check from this website. And when you open this project, you will be seeing this very simple and user-friendly interface. And on the right side you see that there is a large history map, and actually there are different overlapping maps, different layers, different illustrations, and different functions that you may use on the left pane of the screen. And actually I would like to show you, and so it is in order to show you how this Istanbul database, and actually you can overlap different functions of, and this is 1922 city map. As you see here, you can even change the transparency of this map, And actually you can create different layering of Istanbul compared to different perspectives. And here actually the squatter settlements in 1990s from 1960s, and actually you can overlap here, and there are different data, and we have vector data, maps, photos, and for example we have master plans, and these are all very diversified documentation. It is a compilation of the very many different documentations. When we look at the archival materials, we need to explore urban formations and the process involved. And there are maps, spaces of everyday life, housing, transportation, and photos, and master plans and city growth. And I actually, and there is spaces for everyday life in addition to the maps. And there are also several maps for the housing, and there are transportation maps, there are photos, there are master plans, and also there are city growth graphics and illustrations that shows the growth of the city. And there are mostly map based, as you see here. We can see the city maps in, and so we have also regional maps that shows the Marmara region as well. And actually we have also Paleolithic maps that was really so important. We have a timeline, as you can see here, when we look at what does it contains, and starting from the 1850s actually we can cover all this. And actually Pervitic maps, actually we are trying to include these maps, and I would like to, and actually I would like to show we have this Pervitic maps work. This is Pervitic maps for the Beyazıt region. And actually so we and actually most important, you can change when you change the transparency level, and you can see that, and how the main pattern of the and then when you click to the Ortaköy Pervitic maps, and actually it also shows you, and it shows you how much the preservation of the city texture was actually preserved. And there is also the comparison function of, for example, if I would like to change compare the 1853 map with the 1966 German map, or another aerial map, for example. And it also provides you a distinctive comparison, and with the magnifier aspect, and you can mask here, you see, you can mask here, you see here, you can you can follow from the tip of your cursor the and actually the people uses both types of these maps, using the different methodology from the screen. And I have shown you the maps so far, and apart from the maps, so there are other types of other types of uses, as I told you before. And in order to show you the difference, for example, and you see here in transportation status in 1923, for the ferries, for the trains, tramways, you can see the routes actually that were available. And another transportation, and you can see here axis of the main transportation routes in 1923. For example, there are drawings and there are designs actually on this part, and actually there are pictures as well. These are all comes from the, and it shows the status of the conditions of the buildings starting from the 1949 and from 1950s. And as I told you before, and for the everyday life spaces, these are the different layering we have here. There are 3 different layers, and the first one is, and it was actually for example, the beaches on the Bosphorus, and when you click here, you can see the beach points and of the time in 1970s, for example, and here and Surya beach here you can see the and actually Cadde Bostan beach on the period, and actually that actually I have added exploratory notes for the beaches of the time, and actually for me like the Küçüksu beach, and here it tells about actually from some passage from the Istanbul Encyclopedia. These are the casinos, for example, of the time, the taverns and the casinos, taverns actually, and this is the tavern in, for example, Taksim Tavern and Beyoğlu Tavern and the other taverns as well. And actually the last layer that I would like to talk about is the actually master plans, as starting from the 40s to 70s there are different range of master plans developed for Istanbul city planning, and actually this especially German and French city planners developed master plans for Istanbul starting from the 1940s and 60s and even 80s, 70s, sorry. And the second project that I would like to share with you is I Am Istanbul. Actually, it's a website, and the website is benistanbulhikayeleri.com, and it is now offline as far as I know that, and I will try to air it and broadcast it in a, and there are, you see that there are some fictional people, and when actually when I come here, for example, you see Işıkçı family, and this family explains to me, and together with the data and with the maps, and actually this in 1950s they live in Nişantaşı area of Istanbul, and actually then it shows the Pervitic map of the actually this area in 1950s and 60s, and actually when we look at here, this storytelling has a objective and of course the purpose, and the purpose of this storytelling is to depict and to show you historical, cultural, social, economical and political change of Istanbul from the time. And of course actually I will not be able to show you in detail, but you may better understand this actually, it is actually this is the bird of migration, or migrant bird, since from 1964, and actually it shows you the migration flow to Istanbul in 1960s, and so actually you see here the change in Zeytinburnu from 1940s to 1960s, and it also shows you the squatters in Istanbul in 1960s, and you can also see the clips, and it comes to Haydar Pasha, and also suddenly it's you see the ferries maps, and you can see actually the route that he follows. And another actually, it is, for example, this is the from the Lütfi Kırdar area, and this, and it shows you, and actually it talks about policies, political world, city life, and and actually during the Lütfi Kırdar and Henry Frost air comes to Istanbul. And actually what I wanted to, and actually I would like to, I wanted to show you the historical difference, and then you see a tour of city in 1950s in order to see the stadium, roads, and all city planning and the change. And actually the third project that I would like to mention to you, it is a bit different from the other two web-based project. This is virtual reality project, and it is a, and you wear your virtual reality goggles or glasses. You find yourself inside an historical place of 1955 September, and actually you will be able to see the story inside. And I would like to show you its fragment, and in a very short way. And actually this place, it is it's a modeled actually designed area, because that we have created benefiting from the historical archives. And so as our time is very limited, of course, so as we don't have any, so if you have any questions, of course I can demonstrate you. And however, but, and as you see on the right side, actually this is the virtual reality environment that the person in he is viewing, and actually it is the real environment and the virtual environment. And actually we have designed these models. These are the photos from the virtual environment that we have created. And so of course we have used archived materials, and actually these are all were modeled from scratch. And you can see here how we benefited from the archives. For example, we we have received, for example, the flooring on the ground, and here you see, and we had, and actually we have used this frame and mirror, and we have modeled it on the right side. And another technology, and actually in order to create this virtual reality, we have tried to depict these people. And of course, in order to put the people into the virtual reality, and we have actually used a three-dimensional scanning in order to model them on the. And actually this project was launched actually in 2016, and we exhibited this project in America first, and we on the Istanbul Film Festival 2017 we did the same for Istanbul. Actually, we are trying to maintain these the exhibitions in Turkey as well. And thank you very much for listening to me patiently. And I would like to pass the microphone to the moderator. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And thank you very much indeed. It was really impressive works indeed that you have done. And of course, we know these methods one by one, but actually, as you have combined them, actually you see, I have seen that it was really so impressive. And of course, there will be some questions during the discussion part. Now I would like to pass the microphone to the last panelist of the day, and Mr. Erkam Tüzgen. He is the Secretary General of the Istanbul Development Agency, and he has been involved in many different positions regarding to public health and safety. And however, today he is the host of an Istanbul Cultural Heritage program. And now I would like to pass the microphone to him to highlight us about what the Istanbul Development Agency did so far in regard to preservation of the cultural heritage. And actually, as there are three different categories that we work, and the first one, innovative industries and cultural heritage, and of course they are interrelated to each other. And we also provide supports on the entrepreneurship and innovation as well, and especially for the digitalization of the cultural heritage, and for change of the communication styles and methodologies. And we will continue to support different projects on this area. And as you know, that the cultural heritage is really so important in terms of definition of the identity, and also constructing strong ties and bonds between the past and the future, and also to create legacy for the city. And on the other perspective, of course, this cultural heritage also feeds the tourism and also many other economic sectors as well. And actually I make the in front of the Istanbul Sultan's design pattern. And actually we can digitalize machine parts, and actually we can actually visualize these patterns using the fingerprint technology. And we can actually, as Mrs. Almira has already mentioned, and actually this the image combining technology that were used for creating the digital visualization of the Great Wall of China. They were used for mapping purposes in the past, and actually today they are really used for the visualization and digitalization of cultural heritages as well today. And actually digital visualization also enables actually removing barriers before the physical access to the environments. And actually it provided us new opportunities for enjoying the physical environments with a different perspective, especially in terms of COVID pandemic situation. And actually we participated to the online concerts, online theaters. We visited online museums thanks to these VR technology and augmented reality and the virtual reality concepts. And of course, as I told you before, these topics are not new. And actually, in 2008, and so and as you know, that European Union has established a Europana platform, Eurocana, and actually more than 3,000 institutions contributed to Eurocana so far, and around 2,000 are items were already included into the Eurocana, ranging from the books, materials, posters, actually, and also historical articles and items as well. And since 2010, where we were established, and we have launched actually 14 calls for tenders and we have so far provided around 100 million Turkish lira of financial support, and we contributed and financed around 100 projects. And I will be demonstrating you 3 examples of projects, starting with the one and actually the financial support program for supporting the innovation projects, aiming actually to support the future of the Turkish cinema actually. And also our objective was to create a classified referral book, and actually in addition to that, we also create this website in order to provide a platform where the past, today, and future of the Turkish cinematography is discussed with the participation of the experts, both from outside and also from inside as well. And we have added many important volume of DVDs, books, and actually we could also reach the materials from all different parts. And actually we also created the actual identity information of these films and movies, benefiting from the archives. And actually we have also created a website with the tsa.org, and which includes actually analysis and assessment of all Turkish movies. We have around 7,000 movies, and in addition to books, posters, materials, and they were all published. And again, still you can reach to this database, benefiting from the website that we have given. And actually I will be talking about a project like the SICA, and it is Islamic Culture and History Research Center, and actually using the OCR technology, they actually first transferred these books and written papers to digitalized version, and it is also very important aspect. And it was the first time that it has been done for Ottoman language. Of course, it was very popular for the Latin alphabet scripts, but we have also created a dictionary with 114,000 Ottoman words in it. And actually I will be skipping the technical technical part, but you can reach it from the library irsica.com, and you can find out how it looks like. And as I told you before, we supported this project in 2016, 15 and 16 period, and lastly in 2018 project. And the last project I will be talking about is it's the classical arts projects based on digitalization technology. And the first two projects were mostly for the academicians actually, while the last project I am referring here for the public use and the people and the society living in Istanbul. And the objective of this project was to digitalize using all the advanced technologies, and also to provide and public relations for the introduction and also for the promotion of the classical arts, and also to create an environment when the apprentices and also the masters come together and work together, and as well as encouraging and promoting interest of the young generation for the classical arts. And we have established a classical arts center in Neyzen Tevfik Culture Center, and we have starting from the miniature clay and miniature ceramic, and also oil painting, and actually we created an interactive 3D technology for the 12 different classical arts, and ranging from the book binding to ceramic painting, and also to carpentry, and also carpet weaving areas. And actually we created 3-dimension environment for this of 12 different classical arts. And actually on the digital environments you will be able to try it yourself, even though you cannot find physical environments anymore for trying these classical arts. And we had an actually financial support program, and a couple of weeks ago we actually announced that we will be supporting the similar projects in the next future. And actually we will be also supporting the projects for the cultural digitalization projects that we will be received for the Istanbul Art of Istanbul. And also we have and actually Turkish German University also has another project that we will be supporting. And lastly, I would like to say that, and together with these opportunities, access to cultural heritage will be really so easy and user friendly. And however, facilitation of access to cultural heritage actually was found really meaningful on the academician side. And of course I sincerely believe that we need to raise awareness on the public side as well for increasing their awareness and interest.
I think that is there a social because we have of course a heritage that needs to be discovered, but there is also concrete and non-concrete heritage which has to be protected and which has to be accessible. as academicians and people who deal with that, we are very excited and I look at the cultural policies. I think that I think it is not being used so much, as you said, that we are facing a problem with the the aim of this panel is to keep the memory and the culture like it is a living cultural heritage. So this is really a very important question. We have 20 minutes left in case we had asked our speakers not to talk more than 15 minutes, so that we have time for question and answer session, and we can discuss about the subject with 15 minutes left. Now I think we can make such a tour, and one point that is one of the main subjects of our panel. When we talk about cultural heritage, it's important for today, and this is why we're working. Belonging, memory, it should be part of our life. And for historical cities, I think that the people who have to decide should not just do anything, because cultural heritage should stop people of doing whatever they want to do if it is not in conformity with the protection of our cultural heritage. Now, what does this subject give to cities? What is the advantage it provides to cities? And we work in international projects, not only with only Turkey, but we work, deal with heritage, world heritage. So this potential for the world cultural heritage and for the Turkish cultural heritage, I think is, well, in digital work, I think that it is more or less like 3 or 5 years back, or 3 or 5 years in advance. It does not go back to when we look at the Turkish position of Turkey generally, and the position of Turkey. If you can assess the position of Turkey, the contribution of the work to the cities and the potential. And I think that let's start with Professor Almila, just giving like something like the 2 to 3 minutes per person, so you can make your comments. Yes, Professor Almila? Yes, I think it was connected to a point that I mentioned, and I underlined the investments and cultural heritage, which becomes digital. Of course, it is easier now to make research, but like Professor Nies said, that it is attracting the attention of people. Now, even if people do not have a knowledge about this, but they become interested, and it is like projects that can make people listen to these stories, and I think that this is very important, because like it says, what are we getting as a result of this work? We say that how do we provide information to people, and how do we raise interest in people, and how are these and I think that now, of course, people are maybe they use people should just be curious and have a look at this. Maybe we can transfer this knowledge. Now, when we look at the culture, and somebody who lives in the social media, of course, want to share what they do. So it is not a passive. When we talk about the people who live in a city and these live actively and are interested to share their knowledge, and I think that it is a positive way of create a feeling of belonging, feeling of identification. When we look at the social media activities, like to get a like, if it is a measurement. So when you have a visual, of course there is much more sharing. In this, when we look at websites, they remain more at the background. But if you use the social media, and if it is in the daily contacts, we see that it creates more interest. We had a meeting of Cultural Istanbul and to share the social media, those who share the cultural heritage on social media. And I think that their connections and especially if you use the visual dimension, it creates more interest and more sharing. So maybe on the long term, we have to think on a long-term basis to get the results. Maybe on a short-term basis, we may not have an immediate reaction, but I think that on the long term, it is used in cultural training, in museums, in schools, and I think that on the long term, it might have an impact. Yes, Bilal Bey, do you have anything to say concerning the potential? We can talk about the potential. I think that the cultural policies are the content is very rich and there are so many visual objects, information, and what do you think about it, and what do you think about the future potential? Will you share it with us? Actually, it is a bit of attracting interest. When we look at our own website, and when we look at the social media, we see that we are attracting people who are interested. And in order to reach those people who use the social media and interest, you have to use advertising. And maybe that is the structure of the social media, which will push us to do that. If you make a sharing, you reach people who start to see you. But if they are interested in the subject you are sharing, when you look at the social media, you see that many people have sent a like for maybe hundreds of now, actually, otherwise, it is not a document for the archives. Maybe we do not get maybe we shall get, it will be maybe more useful in the future in the number of content in the 2014, of course, not very different, but we have now from 400 to millions of people. So people use social media. So you make a research or you reach that somewhere and they come back to the site of the content. They visit the web page and they start using it. And that is the advantage of becoming digitalized. So this is not limited to the people of your country. Of course, when we look at the touristic potential of the country, I look now, when we have bringing together health, culture, and tourism, but there are maybe thousands of contents that we have not been able to develop. So we have to develop ourselves. And people also have to contact us with their proposals. So we need a planification and of course, we plan to make a structure which will attract attention and which push people to become a member and a follower of our pages. Now, if yes, you take a picture and you share it on the social media platform. So they use Google or other companies have such applications. If you're a local guide and you take pictures and you send it. And I think that our members could share their visual or academic work and share the content on our site. And I think that it will increase access and the interest of people who are interested. I think that we have to take the steps carefully. We are doing the planning, but when we look, we have a great potential, and I think that we shall be able to develop and attract the interest of people. So when we look at the visualization, or people maybe imagine themselves in this context, and I think that will be if you attract attention, you can use different areas and different zones, and I think that the projects will have more followers and more people who are interested. Thank you. Thank you. As a matter of fact, what the contents and when this cultural heritage is in Turkey and in the world, there is great interest in historical series. Historical series have become very popular, and the objects and the artworks and the environment of the platforms used, of course, they are being used for this. They have some advisors for the objects, and therefore they are using, reaching people thanks to this series. And we should maybe look at it within a context and to be able to use them in time. Yes, yes. Can we have your view? because you are preparing stories, and I think that it is a very innovative part what you're doing. It is not only objects or the cultural heritage which is digitalized, but you write the stories connected to them. And I think you are also working in different projects outside of Turkey. How do you see the potential and how do you assess it? I think that these projects are very interesting. Like Active Istanbul, when we look at the users, when you think of it now, you of course we thought that more academicians or students would be interested, but you know, simple people, young people are showing interest, and I think that it is recent. I really was really surprised, but I think that, of course, social media has a great power. Like I see that my page has been seen by thousands of people, and when you talk, yes, of course, the visual dimension is very important. A photograph, a picture, and you know, it has an impact on people, and it creates interest. When you look at it, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think that social media has a great power. I still haven't decided if it is a positive or a negative, but you know, social media has become a great power. And when you look at the stories of Istanbul, so people just tick on it and click on it, and they see pictures, and they see like letters, and they see the grandparents, how they used to live. So I think it is really created interest. Well, I think that really we had comments that people who were interested, yes, yes. Yes, I think social media could be important to attract the interest of people. Yes, I think that was also a question. We are leaving something for the future. The stories will remain. This is we can just let these stories for the future. Ertam Hoca, let's finish with you. You ask a question, but I'm sure you also have observations concerning socialization of this work. When we look at the statistics on project-based, and we see that we might maybe not get the counterpart really, but the social media project, I remember last year we opened a cinema museum on the Istiklal Street by the Ministry of Culture, and it was like the database of this project, and maybe this project will have a reaction, and it might be a baseline database for a museum. And yes, there were also digital dimensions. So it may have different results. And I think that it has a cultural heritage. I think that there is a different of level, like if you look at that something which is like a street fight, a picture of some food. Of course, we cannot we compete, and we should not compete on the same round. Like you have a fast food restaurant, of course, but of course it has experience. The cultural heritage also can be. We have to find areas where cultural heritage can be competitive, like many innovative views. Now, its popular culture is still dominating. We know that. I did not think of it, but I think that it was that really we saw that it could be competitive, like you said. And now we have to discover those areas and use them. Well, I wish I could find the answer to the question I asked, but I think I had just a question just to be able to discuss it. I think that what will be the cultural heritage of the future, like those food videos, they will not be, I think, I hope it won't be. What will it be? And how will we define what will be the cultural heritage of the future? That is a question that I want to ask. Thank you. I am a historian, and I think that let's not think about it and let the historians of the next centuries think about it. But of course, we always leave something for the future. And that is important, but of course, I'm sure many valuable things will be left by our generation. Thank you, dear panelists and dear participants. It was a very interesting sharing of experience. We discussed about some problems, and we have try to be on time, and I think that we are going to continue our work on this subject because cultural heritage is a very important. I wish to thank you for your participation. I was to thank the Marmara Municipalities Union and all the experts who have joined us. Thank you, and I wish you a pleasant evening, and thank you for your participation.